All right, let's dive right in. Nick, you've done nearly $200 million in revenue generated over the past 10 years. I want to ask you, if someone followed you around with a camera for 1 month, what would shock them about the way you
About the
operate?
way you operate? I think the biggest thing people would be shocked by the way I operate is that I'm a huge believer in only focusing on a handful of actions per day that are always going to be your highest priority actions. And I think there's so many people that every time I get on a call with them, they're always like, hey, how do you get so much done in a day? I just don't understand how you do it all in a single day. I'm like, yo, I only work 4 hours today. I don't know what you mean. So I think for me, it's just understanding your main 2 or 3 actions every single day that moves the needle and only focusing on those things and literally outsourcing everything else.
Okay.
So for me, that's going to be creating content for my personal brand. That's what gets me clients and students for some of my offers and stuff. It's going to be researching for my clients so I can understand what type of creatives to create for their brand to scale. And yeah, I'd say those are probably the biggest 2 things. And probably the last one is just gonna be like taking sales calls.
Gotcha. So, in a short story, you're basically telling us leverage on time mostly, right? Like getting the most amount of output or the least amount of input. When did you learn that and how did you learn that?
Um, this was actually back in, I think it was 2021. I joined this coaching group by a guy named Jeremy Haynes, and he was actually someone that actually
Okay.
told me this. Jeremy used to work for what you call it, Grant Cardone, actually. And this is something, yeah, one of my early mentors, Jeremy Haynes, taught me back in 2021, which is just like every day you want to exceed the number of actions that like create outputs for you, and you want to minimize the number of actions that like actually like kind of pull you
Mm,
back, in the sense of like, let's just say drinking or eating a bunch of unhealthy food and stuff, things that just don't make you feel good, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then you want to count up as many actions as you can that's going to create that reality you want. And I think just over the years, I just really started paying attention to outputs. And I think where a lot of us look at is we look at outputs and we think we need to focus on that output. The reality is we need to look at that output and we need to focus on what's the action that's going to create that
Uh-huh.
output.
Uh-huh.
And that's why, like for me, it's like I don't really like to focus on money because just focusing on money to focus on money doesn't do anything for you. But if you focus on what skill set do I need to have to do, $10 million a year, for example, then you can just focus on that skill set and becoming a master of that skill set. And all the money is just going to be a byproduct. It's going to be inevitable. It's just going to happen. You don't even have to think about it, and it'll happen.
100%.
Nick,
100%. So it's just gonna come as a result. So guys, for anyone listening right now, I think what Nick's saying makes 100% sense, and it's 100% true. Why? Because once you actually focus on the input, it's only going to determine the output. Adam, you were saying.
Nick, part of output, especially on your side, is your personal branding, especially on YouTube. Bro, I've been watching you since like 2 years ago. Literally, you're the guy for Facebook ads. So when it comes to personal branding, especially the YouTube niche that you are in, what's something in your industry that people are faking or lying about the most?
So I think it's just experience. For example, today I had a student reach out to me and like ask me a question about something I've just personally never experienced before. And I could have like attempted to answer the question in the sense of like acting like I knew it because I'm, a guru. I was straight up with them and just said, hey, look, I've never experienced that thing before. So just being very transparent about that. And if I were to experience it, here's what I would do. And I think that just just a little tweak in how you're talking about that now just makes you look a lot bit more trustable and honest versus like speaking on things you've just clearly never done. And I think that's something right there that a lot of people have been able to start to identify, especially people that's been in this space for a while.
100%.
New people won't really notice this too much, but people that are experienced, they'll quickly know if you're talking about stuff about Facebook ads that just doesn't even work or things that just don't even make sense. And they'll quickly be able to spot those fakes right there.
You got
So
me
I think
very interested on that part.
go for it.
That part. What was the actual question? Can you repeat it?
This particular student, yeah, this student just reached out to me, which was like, hey, Nick, what's the best way to bulletproof your business manager so that way, like, you don't have to really get like worry about bans and stuff like that. And
Ooh.
I mean, for me, all my clients just add me to their ad account, so I don't really have to worry about their business manager and stuff like that. And all of my clients run compliant products and compliant ads. So to be fair, I get maybe one ad account ban a year working with our clients and stuff. So I never really have to worry about that particular issue. And this student was going through a lot of weeds to get that account.
Gotcha, man. Gotcha. I mean, really, when we talk to clients, I think this question is the most common asked on, especially YouTube. And a lot of gurus just go ahead and actually speak about it. You can bulletproof the music this way and this way. So I totally appreciate the honesty coming forward to us and your student. Like, hey, I don't know that question. The answer to that question.
Yeah, and you can still try to answer it, but at least preface it, right? Hey, I don't know the answer because I've never experienced that before. But if I were to experience it, here's what I would do. So that way it's still like, hey, I'm gonna try to give you some value, but at the same time, I also want you to know that like I've never experienced it before. So if it doesn't work for you, you're not gonna be mad at me like claiming to be someone and did this thing when I didn't.
Yeah, 100%. We find a lot of people in the online space like claiming they know everything, and in reality, they barely know something, you know? Nick, being in business for 10 years, as we've already established that you've already like, you're near $200 million in generated revenue. Like, we're talking about the successes, but I want you to reflect really deeply, in depth. Like, what was the worst, and I mean the worst day you've ever had in business? I'm sorry, I might maybe unlock some bad memories, but I really want to know about this.
Oh, stay in business. I would say it's probably when I was like back in 2017.
That long time ago.
2017, I was running an auto detailing business at that
Ooh.
time.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah. And I remember we had like a job get canceled that week. And like that, at that time, like week to week, I was living paycheck to paycheck every week, basically. And I was running this business and we had a job get canceled and I just remember like having like $100 left in my bank account
Mm.
to like last me for another week and we had nothing on the books and then like all of a sudden I get a random charge from some deal I owed months ago and it
Was
autographed
that
my account
Spotify?
so then I was negative $500 for set like 5 or 6 days straight. So I just had like 40 bucks in cash in my wallet that like I was like using a little bit every day for like food until we finally started closing some more deals
Yeah,
to
I
get like
can
cars in the
imagine.
shop. But that was a hard day right there.
I can imagine. But you see, like a lot of people, once they go through a phase like that, they just think of it in a way like, why the hell would I keep on moving forward? Of course, you ask yourself that question. So, what was like, can you walk me through that inner voice inside of you? Like, what was the conversation like?
You know, when I look back at it now, I realize like how yeah, it sucked for that period of time right there. But at the same time, like it didn't really affect me that much in the sense of like it didn't destroy me, it didn't, end me or anything like that. Did I like want to give up in that moment? Yeah, don't get me wrong. But at the same time right there, I knew giving up wouldn't have fixed anything. To be honest, would just prolong me making money again because what? Go find a job, go put some applications in. It might be three,
Yeah.
4 weeks before I even get a job and get some money in. So like for me, I knew in that particular moment, the only thing I could do is either cry about it, sit in bed and do nothing, or just go ahead, get in the office and start taking action on to get money in the building. And that was like calling people, sending messages out, just doing a lot of positive, high leverage actions to get people in.
Yeah.
Talking through that, I really appreciate sharing your story. I think a lot of entrepreneurs actually have been through the worst days ever. And I want to ask you something that really will basically hit you. But I want to basically get to know something that what is the personal sacrifice that you have to make that really nobody talks about, not even you publicly. So I don't know if you can go back to that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like right now, I don't make nearly as many like personal sacrifices. I think personal sacrifice is something that is a short-term thing. I think a lot of people think that entrepreneurship is 4 hours of sleep every night and 18-hour work days every day for the rest of your life. And that's completely false. But there needs to be a period of time where you do that personal sacrifice to get things moving forward. Once you get it moving forward, then it's easier to maintain that momentum. Momentum is the hardest part of getting started. As cliche as it is, I know there's a few memes online that's like, a rocket or a plane burns the most fuel when it's getting off the ground.
They might listen to Nick saying that, hey, you don't have to work 18 hours a day, and maybe they're just gonna like remove their foot off the gas when they're still starting out and they're not putting in the amount of work required. So how can you like clear the water when it comes to your actual intention? And what would you say, like, where do you draw the line? When do you feel like people should maybe take things easier, and when they should go even harder?
Yeah, so this is great question. Ask real quick. Going back to the personal sacrifices part, for me, I did personal sacrifice from 2015 all the way to 2020. All those 4 or 5 years, that was 4 hours of sleep every night. That was going to bed at 12 o'clock at night and waking up at 4:30 every morning. That's including Saturday and Sunday, and not going out and partying and drinking with people. That was spending 4 to 5 years in that, locked in, what people like to call it.
Yeah.
That was the personal sacrifice right there. And that was working, 12, 16-hour days to make this happen. I think that's where a lot of people get confused too, because even me at that time, I would compare myself to, here's where I'm at now. Oh, this $100 million CEO does this 4-hour morning routine. I need to go do that 4-hour morning routine because this CEO that's worth $100 million a year does it. It's actually completely false.
Yeah, we see a lot of people just comparing themselves to online personalities and like, I don't know, just dropping their face in a cold plunge and doing a lot of shit like that. So what's your take on that specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I think morning routines are great when you have your business fully optimized and you can work 3-4 hours a day and you need something to keep you busy the rest of the day. But in the beginning stages, when you're working an 8-hour 9 to 5 and you're trying to build a business, you need every minute of the day you can to focus on high leverage action. So that may be calling more people, that may be testing more stores. If you're in drop shipping, that may be spending more product research time. You don't want to do anything else that's not those high private leverage actions. And honestly, I would be way further than I'm at now if I would have learned that in 2015 and 16 versus all the way in 2021.
Speaking of that specifically, by the way, like going back 10 years in time, what would you change? Like, what's the one thing you would change that would, you think, X what you are right now?
Yeah, so 10 years ago, I think for me was just picking one thing and locking in on that one thing. I probably tried over a dozen businesses in the beginning stages. I remember seeing a quote early on that like the average millionaire has 7 sources of income. So guess what? Instead of focusing on one and trying to scale one really hard, I tried to go launch 7 businesses at once and try to build them all at exactly the same time. And guess what? I got nowhere until I locked in on one thing. Then I
Hey.
Jack of all trades and master of none.
Absolutely.
Nick, I want to steer the ship a little bit towards a ocean, which is gonna go a little bit specific on what you do exactly. Leaving personal aside and basically the high stuff, we're gonna go a little bit specific right now to the actual ads part. And I want to hit you with a question that you wouldn't expect right now, but what is the last campaign that you did that flopped really fucking bad for a
Last
client?
campaign that flopped really bad. I would say right now, we have this one particular client in the B2B space, and they sell promotional products. So promotional products are like products with business's name on it. So like you'll have like shirts with a business logo on it. You'll have hats with a business logo.
The most complex business model you've ever witnessed.
Yeah. So long story short, promotional products. And we started working with them at the beginning of this month, right when all the tariffs started to hit. And it's been a struggle with their business all month. They've been down in revenue all month. And it just kind of like, it's just a coincidence that they started working with us at exactly the same time as all these tariffs hit. All these small businesses now are facing these higher costs, so they're cutting back spending everywhere. So if it's like, hey, purchasing this essential thing for our business to operate versus a promotional product, they're going to focus on the essential thing. So we noticed there being a significant just drop in sales this month after those tariffs started to hit. So I think that was probably like the last technically campaign that flopped when we got started with it.
So you were in a kind of rough position trying to, set him up for success. They put you in a war zone of like tariffs and the whole fucking government issues with China. And they expected Nick to actually launch the Facebook ads and he got a 4 ROAS.
Yep. That's the worst part. I think that's something for me that always hits like home, and just makes me just like take this time to step back, because like this particular person has been watching the YouTube channel for a while. He's been seeing the results and stuff. This particular person was actually able to scale from 0 to 100K a month just by watching my free stuff. And it just so happened when he started working with us, it was the exact time that all this stuff hit, and then boom, significant decrease in performance.
Okay. By the way, like to technically dive deeper, we see you on YouTube, right? But I want you right now to drop something that you've never said on YouTube, which is like kind of the secret sauce about the way you do the split testing and the way you scale your ad.
So just secret sauce around split testing and scaling?
Yes. I want everyone to be like, okay, Nick's videos are cool, but I think he dropped something here. Like I can smell something over here.
Maybe something around creatives.
Maybe.
I think that was
So yeah, something that's working extremely well with for us right now is we're going and finding trends on TikTok or Instagram right now, specifically Instagram Reels. And I'm looking for like the short 5 to 10 second long trends. So like POV something, or another popular one right now is like, little does she know that in 3 months something X good or X bad happened to her. So long story short, like the POV one, we'll do like POV. I did one for my personal brand. It was like POV discovered emotion, you crushed your first 30K a day with Shopify. And all I did was a 5 to 7 second long video of me zooming in on the Shopify store with 30K sales, and then just trending sound, and that's it. It was a 5 to 10 second long video, no talking, no nothing, just text on the screen, me zooming in on my computer.
Nick, but talking about that ad structure, like when you're putting it on the ad account, saturation is the thing that people really consider. Like with those ads, do they really last with a very high ad spend, or is it like a week or two?
So yeah, no, these work well. So what you're doing here now is you're calling out and showing what people want, and then you're highlighting something they never heard of before. So like in that particular example right there, emotion baiting. No one in the Shopify space saw specifically something about emotion baiting. Then I'm linking them to an advertorial or VSL. Typically, I'm gonna start off with advertorial first because it's easier to make, where I go into emotion baiting success and basically why it works, how good it works, all that good stuff right there. Then I'm gonna send people either to like a product page or like a lead capture page right there.
But this is the funnel for mostly like info. What about eCom? Mostly.
Exactly the same for eCom. Exactly the same for eCom.
So like a listicle or an advertorial in the middle, just driving up to the product page, right?
Yeah. So for example, we have a paint by numbers brand. Not sure if y'all ever heard of paint by numbers. And what I did was I did POV, you replaced doom scrolling with CBN. And be like, what the hell is CBN? And I'm showing the person doing something that people want, and then I just have that POV thing. Then I'm sending people an advertorial basically saying how this unexpected hobby replaced my doom scrolling, and I can sleep amazing every night now. And then I'm kind of going into the struggle with doom scrolling, then how she found CBN, what is CBN, then a couple things about the brand itself, the product, and then sending people to the product page.
Hey. So I wouldn't say it's a sales funnel, but it's more of a psychological funnel, Nick. Okay.
Wait, but Nick, here's the thing, right? Does this really work for all niches? I've heard that really not typically be effective for fashion brands. I don't know. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so you're 100% correct on that for fashion brands. Fashion brands, it depends on what your USP is around the clothing. If you're like, for example, majority of fashion brands, it's just the design. They have a different design than everyone else. You just want to show that design and where they can grab it, because you don't need to like educate someone on how to use clothing. And like unless you reinvent clothing where like you make a totally new type of piece of clothing someone never seen before, then like you don't need to necessarily do that right there. So yeah, so technically would work really well for fashion in the sense of just like showing off the clothing and just sending people to a product page. If you wanted to go crazy with it and get really creative, you could do something where it's like You send people to, you call out something where it's like POV, you landed 4 more dates this week with girls you want because you discovered some type of method. And then you send people to an advertorial going into that method. And one of the key things to execute on that method would be buying these specific pieces of clothing from this brand.
It's like a fucking funnel strategy, retargeting and some. This is squeezing the shit out of each lead.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, talking more about that, like, I'm really finding it very difficult to pinpoint a number and a range. And I want to really come to you and ask this. Let's say a client is spending 150K a month on ads. We got a fashion client that's spending 150K a month on ads.
Nice.
I really don't know what's the number of ads we should particularly focus on every week so we can prevent saturation. And my question to you is, what is that number? Is it 100, 150, 20 creatives a month? It's about the quality, it's about the quantity. Tell us, Nick, tell us.
So it's always quality over quantity. When we were working with
So it's quantity over quality or quality over quantity?
Quality over quantity, all day. Wow. When we were working with Icon Amsterdam a couple years ago, we helped them scale from $300K a month to $2 million a month in revenue.
Wait, one sec. Jimmy, do you know who is the founders of Icon Amsterdam?
Yeah, hopped on hundreds of calls with them.
So, no, Jimmy, do you know who are the 2 guys who are the founders that you posted them on X? The guys that actually went to prison, the 2 brothers.
Who?
Or something. Do you remember them?
Who exactly?
You posted. What's the name of the owner?
Ruben and Samuel O'Connor.
Sam O'Neill, bro.
Okay, yeah.
Those are the founders of the. Those are the founders of this brand. But yeah, Nick, continue about it.
So when we were scaling them at that time, like, dude, they had like 1 creator that would send us 4 creatives a month, and all 4 of those creatives would become winners in their account every single time. And they were testing, I don't know, 40 creatives a week, and they had their own creative like process in the back end. So I'll be fully transparent. We didn't do the creatives for them. Like, they were sending us the creatives just to put live in the account and stuff. And yeah, they were getting 40 creatives a week from a variety of different content creators, influencers and stuff. And just 1 creator every single week for about 3 years of us working with them.
3 years.
Just would become a winner every time.
Wow. How is this even theoretically or technically possible? Like, I think they spend $1 million a month on ads or something. I don't know if that's number right. But
yeah, I know I think the most we spent with them in a single month was $1 million. We helped them do that $1 million Black Friday. So that was cool. Yeah, a lot of people come to my channel from that video because they'll see the little TS by the campaigns, and that's my initials of my advertising agency.
that was an amazing marketing strategy from him to you. So you should actually thank him in prison for that.
Wait, Nick, what you mentioned right now, which is equality over quantity, you basically are going against what everyone is saying on Twitter. You know how a lot of people be like, you should be testing like 100 creatives a week and all of that. So I really like the hot takes you're bringing on this episode. I wanted to ask you something, which is like, I want you to settle a lot of conversations happening right now. Everyone has a certain opinion on how they should perform their campaigns, how they should scale them, like ABO, CBO, ASC, and a bunch of other strategies and small tactics and a lot of other stuff. So what would you tell them in like 2 sentences and end this argument once and for all?
Test it for yourself, see what works.
Nice.
That's the
Or just
easiest
gave
way.
us 1 sentence instead of 2.
Damn, that's fucking hot. But tell us more about that, really.
Yeah, like, for example, I posted something the other day. I'm a big fan of the CBO method, to where I just toss creatives in, and if it spins, it spins. I posted something the other day about it, and someone was telling me, hey, that's terrible, you need to do ABO and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, look, full transparency, I don't really care either one. I just want to make me money, and I want to make my clients money. So I don't really care which way works better. I'm going to go in on the way that does work better for me. And I have videos on my channel documenting like us beating ABO. I have videos on my channel where like 4 years ago, I used to preach ABO. Long story short, you get conviction in your strategy when you test other strategies and realize, hey, none of that worked and your strategy works better. So it's like for me, when someone comes at me with a new strategy, like I'll test it. I have no shame in testing it. because it'll do two things. It'll either make me more money or it'll give me further conviction in my strategy so that we have less like grass is greener on the other side kind of thoughts down the line.
100%. There's a saying that I say maybe twice a day at least, and it's my opinion doesn't matter, Nick's opinion doesn't matter, Adam's opinion doesn't matter. What matters is the opinion of one guy only, which is your customer. I think we're aligned on that. And something else that I usually go with, it's like your customers are constantly electing the ad creative president. Like, what's the winning one? What's the winning strategy? So I think we're like truly aligned on all of that. Nick, when it comes to AI, do you think that agencies will fall behind if they don't utilize it properly?
I think they'll fall behind in the sense of they won't be able to compete with other agencies that's able to push out 10 times more of quality. It's just going to be significantly harder. I know, there used to be copywriting agencies, for example, where you pay like $50 per piece of ad copy. I can go to ChatGPT in about an hour, pull out about 10 really high performing pieces of copy without having to pay that $50 for one. So I do think that it's going to allow people that already know their stuff, like, me, you guys, it's going to allow us just to continue to excel and push out more volume while maintaining quality. And agencies that refuse to adapt and integrate it, it's just going to have a significantly lower output, and it's going to be harder for them to compete in the marketplace in the sense of, oh, hey, you only pump out 4 creatives a month, whereas this agency pumps out 30 or 40 high quality ones that turn into winners that scale my brand because they use AI.
Nick, let's take a few steps back about the AI revolution, the ads manager, and all that chaos and noise and chaos that you face every day. I want to ask you a question, Nick.
Go for it.
Since you're the G of Facebook ads on YouTube, who do you look up to in the space?
So, a couple of people I look up to, Jeremy Haynes, he's still one of my mentors now. He's been a mentor of mine since 2021. He's a really good guy. He scales a lot of personal brands, so that's his specialty. But I think his just outlook on money and mindset's been the biggest thing for me. Kyrie Oliver, he's another really solid guy. He's more of like a life coach for me, but he helps out a lot just that like actual actions of who you want to become for that long-term goal right there. He's also extremely smart when it comes down to just understanding people, which translates to better creatives, even though completely irrelevant things to Facebook ads right there. And then also another really solid guy is Ray Johnston. He's the co-owner of Right Hook Digital, and he's phenomenal when it comes down to systems and team building specifically. That's his specialty.
You missed it. I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest. Ask me why. There's someone that's really been actually conquering the space recently, and I'm kind of disappointed you haven't mentioned his name, and I'm even more disappointed that you might just not know him.
All right, go for it. Is that you?
It's called, I don't know, it's called Nick Theriot.
Exactly. He's the person that looks at you in the mirror every single day. Nick, before we wrap
Jake.
things up, let's assume you disappear tomorrow. Like, to wrap things up and to conclude effectively, what's the one thing you would want people to remember about you?
I think for me is discipline and persistence. Everything I've done over the last 10 years, not the smartest guy, like, that whole cliche thing. It's just been simply, hey, it didn't work today, I'm gonna try again tomorrow. Hey, it didn't work tomorrow, I'm gonna try again the next day. And I just kept that attitude over 10 years, and that led me to where I'm at now. So if there's literally just one thing to learn from me, is discipline and persistence. There's been so many people over the last 2 years that I've seen get started, a month of it didn't working, boom, they're doing something else.
Yeah, you see a lot of people jumping from one lane to another. Nick, I'm not going to mention any names. I think we all, when I ask you this question, you're going to think of a few names. But you see a lot of people go huge on the online space, on Twitter. They're exploding everywhere, Facebook, YouTube, channels, cool. And then they suddenly disappear. Not like in a bad way, but they just disappear. Will we ever witness this with you?
I've been doing YouTube. Let's see, my first YouTube channel is 10 years old. So I've been doing YouTube technically for 18 years now. Is there a possibility that I may get out of Facebook ads and marketing and advertising and stuff like that? I don't see that in any time soon, but also don't know what God planned at the end of the day. So that comes down to that part. As far as YouTube in general though, if I wouldn't be doing Facebook and advertising, I'll probably do something else. Like I'm always gonna have a YouTube channel. It's my creative freedom. It's my way to express myself. So I've even thought about starting up like other YouTube channels for other parts of my life. And it just for fun because I enjoy that type of stuff. But yeah, no long-term goal right now of exiting the space.
Gotcha. All right, Nick, that's it on our end. We truly enjoyed this conversation. We tapped into some emotions, some pure value tactical stuff, and it was a blast in our opinion. So thank you for attending this podcast.
Let's get it, baby.
Thank
Nick,
you guys.
enjoy it. Let's get it.